Alrighty, welcome back. I've got another tutorial for you here. In this one, I want to show you how to bring in, say, your logo and put it on a 3D model that you've made inside Fusion. So earlier, I posted to Facebook. I was seeing if anyone wanted to use their logo, and sorry if I mess up your last name here, but Taylor Burrell, I think, is the founder of FPV Builders, and so he was the only one to comment on that post with a logo. So there's a couple different ways to bring pictures into Fusion, and a quick and dirty way is to search on Google like JPEG to SVG converter. And this is going to depend on the quality of the image or the resolution and the colors of it. And sometimes this thing will spit out some good results, but unfortunately with this logo, it wasn't coming out the way I wanted. So if you come up here to this insert tool, you can bring in pictures from your computer into Fusion. Alright, so here is the logo, and I'm going to come in here with a sketch and trace out all the different parts of this logo here. So if I could select the correct plane, that would help. There we go. We can rotate our view. So I'm going to come in here with a line tool up here, and also to match some of these curves, I'm going to use this. You can either use a spline tool. Something a little easier is the fillet. And I'm not going to trace this out in real time for you guys. I'm just going to fast forward this. If I come across something that I think might help you, then I will pause it and then explain. Alright, so before I complete it all the way, I've gone through and traced out all these letters, and I'll just show you with the spline tool. It's pretty easy to come in here and follow this curve, and it's best if you place the least amount of points you can without, like, you can obviously come through here and put a ton of points, but it's going to make the object that you extrude out very hard for your computer to manipulate. So the less vertices you can place here to follow the curve, the better. So see how this curve wants to come back in here. You can always come back and redo these curves with these handles and smooth out anywhere where it doesn't look just right. Alright, so then another tool you can use is, see right here we have, this just looks like a rounded corner. So you can come up to this fillet tool and select these two lines, and then you can click and drag to match that corner there. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. I haven't selected anything else. I'm just going to click these two lines again, and then click and drag to match the corner. Alright, so far we got the letters traced out. And this little circuit board right here is going to be a little bit of a challenge because these are pretty small lines to, by the time you 3D print this, it's not going to be very noticeable. I'm going to try to expand these where I can, and then I'll show you a little bit later how we can get this stuff to pop out a little bit. So on these traces, you can come in here and draw a line on one side. Once we get the line the way we want it to look, we can select this offset tool, come back and select this line, and it will project an offset of that. And you can click and drag and get this to the thickness you want. So I'll leave it about like that. Hit OK, and then that'll leave a copy of this line next to it. All right, so up here we have some traces that are in a pattern. So that's a good spot for the pattern tool. So we'll just put some circles down to outline one of these. And then we can come back and copy this with the pattern tool. And then to get rid of these lines in the center, up here is trim. You can just cut these out wherever the line intersects. All right, and then we will hit enter. And now if you click and drag over these lines, that way it'll select them all. And we can go into this rectangular pattern. And then you can just click and drag out. So let's see how many, just type in like 6. How many is there, 7? It's like 7 or 8. There we go. So now we can line those up and hit enter, and then that'll leave behind a pattern of those guys. So here's another little trick you can use, is kind of opposite of the trim tool. So down here, if I try to trim this, these lines aren't actually intersecting here. And so if you zoom in, they're not quite touching there yet. So up in here in modify, there's an extend tool, and that'll extend this line to that curve. And then that way when we come back to trim it out, it'll trim where we want. Alright, so far this looks good. At this point, this is where I'm going to come back and double check to make sure that you've enclosed all your shapes. You can hover over these and highlight, like actually right here. I missed a spot, so we can come back and trim this out. I think we're done. So we're going to enter on that. So come in to these faces and select what you want to select, which faces you want to extrude here. So this is where you can be a little creative, and then let's hit enter and see how that looks, which that's not too bad, but I think I want to pop these guys out. So let's go back and select these. Actually, to get back in there, you need to edit sketch. Let's extrude these traces here, and this is where your computer might struggle. Alright, that looks good, and then that's okay if we join those two. Alright, and then we'll come back and do the letters, just the same process. Select, I want these letters in here to be at a different level than the background. Alright, so let's take a quick little peek at this. We will get rid of that background, and then also let's get rid of that sketch as well. Let's turn off all the sketches. So I am good with that. Let's do one thing I like to do with logos and make them look a little nicer is round them out as a whole object. So here, let me demonstrate that real quick. I'm going to pull these up, and then I'm going to use this flat surface right here to draw a sketch. So we'll create a sketch on that, and then let's just put a curve and cut those letters together. Man, that wasn't curved. Spline tool, that's what I wanted. So we'll go about like that. and close it in. All right, and actually I want to adjust this a little better. About like that, looks all right. There we go. And then now we can come back and trim it. All right, I think that that'll work. So let's position this onto the GoPro and center it up. I think I'm gonna put it on the back there. So you gotta highlight everything that we've drawn out here, and we'll click the move tool. So let's just put it in the center roughly, about like this, and then we can come back looking from the side and line it up right here. All right, hopefully that helped you out there. I'm gonna go back and grab their slogan and then attach this to here. So if you'd like, you can stick around to watch for that. But I think that we are done here. I think that that's it. Taylor, thank you for letting me use the logo. Hopefully you like this. If you want this file, I can send this on over to you.
Let's go.